Today's guitar was popularized by Santana at Woodstock. It was also smashed by Pete Townsend of The Who. What guitar are we talking about? The Gibson SG, of course. The Gibson SG was introduced in 1961 as a redesign for the Gibson Les Paul. The way the story goes is the Les Paul's sales were kind of declining, so they wanted to try something different. And we got the SG. The SG's design features a double cutaway as opposed to the single cutaway on the Les Paul. And it's also way lighter than the Les Paul, which was a big selling point. It was originally called the Les Paul SG, but Gibson dropped the Les Paul name after Les Paul himself severed ways with the company in 1963. And from there on, it was just known as the Gibson SG. The SG is known for its raw, aggressive tone and its distinct look. Over the years, the SG and the SG style has become really popular due to big guitar players like Angus Young of AC/DC and Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath. There's been many iterations of the SG, not only by Gibson, but by Epiphone as well, who actually does a really good job of recreating this guitar and offering it at a much lower price. Today, we're going to be focusing on the Gibson SG Standard 61 reissue. This model actually takes you all the way back to the beginning. It's a recreation of the 1961 release. It includes a small pickguard and a vintage cherry finish. Let's take a look at the basics of the 61 reissue. This SG is a lightweight, solid body construction made from mahogany. It's a 6-string guitar, and this model has the iconic vintage cherry look, done in a gloss nitrocellulose lacquer finish. Nitro finishes, which were pretty much standard back in the day, are a lot thinner than today's polyurethane finishes, and they allow the guitar to breathe better. Nitro finishes not only look vintage, but they also actually help enhance the instrument's tonal qualities. The finish on this model definitely gives off that classic guitar vibe. Gibson's concerns on this particular guitar were its comfort and playability. When designing the neck for this reissue SG, Gibson wanted to make sure that it had a fast, early 60s slim taper profile. It has a rosewood fingerboard, and the frets are distressed using a Plec Pro machine for optimized playability. The Plec Pro machining is typically reserved for high-end custom guitars. It's a process that levels the frets, providing you with an extremely playable fretboard. It has a set neck construction, also made from mahogany. The radius is 12 inches, and it has 22 medium jumbo frets. And it has acrylic trapezoid-style inlays. Its scale length is 24.75 inches, and it features a 1.695 Graphtec nut. When it comes to capturing the classic Gibson tone, nothing beats the sound of 60s Burstbucker pickups. They're known for producing tight lows, complex mid-ranges, and really nice highs. Exactly what you would expect when you pick up a Gibson guitar. These 60s Burstbucker pickups were designed to recreate as faithfully as possible the original sound of 60s style humbuckers. When it comes to hardware, keeping it simple is definitely the rule on this SG. The bridge tailpiece combo consists of an ABR1 Tune-O-Matic bridge with a stop bar tailpiece. And for tuners, you have Gibson's vintage deluxe style. For controls on this SG, you get 2 tone knobs, 2 volume knobs, and a 3-way selector switch for the pickups. This offers a pretty good range of tonal options as a player. You know, I really can't say enough about the weight difference between the SG and the Les Paul. It's pretty significant. And over time, when you're playing a heavy instrument, it can literally start to weigh you down. So for that reason, the SG is actually a really good option for smaller players and those players that are just beginning. The last thing they need is something heavy on them that is just pulling them down constantly. It's a distractor, and it's not going to make them want to come back and play more. The SG comes in at around 6 or 6.5 pounds, and the Les Paul literally is about 8 or 9 pounds. So you're talking about a 2-pound difference here between these guitars. So something to keep in mind if you're looking at either an SG or a Les Paul style, the Les Paul is going to be a lot heavier. Okay, so in terms of price, the model that we've been looking at today actually comes in at $2,000. I know, ouch. But don't worry, there's some alternative models of the SG out there that are actually quite affordable. Let's go over a couple of those now. The Epiphone SG Standard 60s, for instance, is essentially the same guitar as we've been talking about, but for $550. No, it's not a Gibson, and yes, I know that when you buy a Gibson, you're getting more than just the name Gibson. You're also getting a much better quality guitar for the most part. But let's be honest, most of us don't have $2,000 sitting around to shell out for a guitar. So we gotta look for different alternatives, and I wanted to provide a few for you. Epiphone actually does a pretty good job of recreating the SG style guitar, and it's way more affordable. $550 is far more palatable than $2,000. But wait, it gets better. They actually offer a lower price one all the way down to about $180. If you're on a really tight, strict budget, the Epiphone SGs are actually a really good option. If you think the SG is looking pretty cool and you want to buy a new one, maybe you just want to compare between different models, check out the links in the description below. You can see the ones that I've gone over here, and I've added a couple extras. Hey, let me know what you think about the Gibson SG Standard 61 reissue, or any other SG model for that matter, in the comments below. Also, if you like this style of video, make sure to hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and consider subscribing. All of those things really help out our channel. Okay, quick takeaway. The Gibson SG Standard 61 reissue has that classic look, it has that classic tone that you would expect every time you pick up a Gibson guitar. It's also lightweight and comfortable, which makes it ideal for smaller players, or if you're playing for long extended sessions. It's one of the most recognizable shapes of guitars in the world of music today, and you're sure to stand out if you're wearing one of these. The only drawback that I could think of for the model that we covered today is its high price. $2,000 is a lot for most people, and I get it. If you're willing to forego the Gibson name, there's plenty of other options out there. Epiphone offers some really great recreations of the SG guitar at a much lower price point. Other than that, what else is there to say? It's an SG after all, and it's on the list of every guitar ever. More guitars.